In this clip, I'm going to look at the relationships between tables and how to set them up. So in the previous clip, we looked at setting up the relationship between the patient table and the appointment table. And issues arose because some of the sample data had been corrupted or damaged and it didn't make any sense. So that had to be fixed. And the other thing that had to be fixed was that the patient ID column or pat ID column in the two tables had to be the same data type and the same size. And the other thing that was needed for the relationship was that the pat ID column in the patient table had to be the primary key. So if we now just want to look, we'll say, at these 3 or 4 relationships between clinic, dentist, and appointment, we need to make similar changes to the various tables. So what we're going to do is, in the various tables, we're going to go in and go to Design View, and we're going to make sure that the relevant primary keys are set up, and we're going to also make sure that a lot of them are set as integers, okay, because they're whole numbers, and double isn't the appropriate data type. So we're flicking the data type, or field size rather, from double to integer here for clinic ID, and then we'll make sure it matches that the same data type and size applies in the appointment table for this column as well. So we'll set the primary key and save that and close it. Okay, and again it's warning me about size changes. Then go to the dentist table and go to Design View. And again, dent ID is a number. It's also set up as double. So we'll change it to integer. So as long as we're consistent, that's the most important thing. So I'm making all the primary key values and they're matching foreign key columns. They're all going to be integer in these few tables at least. So it's going to be the primary key. So again, rather than going up to the icon here, I can click on the dent ID column and then right click and set the primary key from here. So there's a number of different ways of doing lots of things in Access. So that's the dentist table done as far as I can figure out for the moment. And lastly we'll look at appointment. Okay, the appointment table has the foreign keys. So the 3 columns here of interest are pat ID, which we've solved already, to be honest, then dent ID, and lastly clinic ID. So you don't set up a foreign key as such, but what you do need to watch out for is that the data type and the size matches the corresponding column elsewhere. So dent ID in the dentist table is a number, okay, and likewise here in the appointment table is a number, but dent ID in the dentist table its field size is integer, whereas down here it's double. So if I try to build a relationship in a few minutes time and leaving it as it currently is, leaving it as double, then I'm going to be stopped. It won't do it for me. So I need to change it to integer. And likewise, the third one I need to check is the clinic ID. This foreign key, again, it's a number in both tables. It's a number in the clinic table and it's a number in the appointment table. But the field size is integer in the clinic table, but it's double here in the appointment table. So just like the previous one, I need to change that to integer. So now what I have is, for those 3 tables at least, clinic, appointment, and dentist, that the relevant primary keys are now set. They aren't quite set up yet. I better set this one up. Sorry, in the patient table, its primary key isn't important, to be honest, okay, at the minute, but I'll set it up anyway, just to demonstrate how you do this. So in the appointment table, the pat ID on its own isn't adequate or sufficient for the primary key. Neither is the appointment date, but together they make up an appropriate primary key. So you hit the 2 columns together, as I said, and then hit the primary key icon, and that then puts a primary key symbol at both columns. But in database terminology, it's still one primary key, even though it's made up of 2 columns. So you don't ever say a table has 2 primary keys. So we'll close that. Now that primary key in the appointment table won't affect the relationships we're looking at the moment. So that was just a little bit of an extra that's thrown in because of the need for, in some tables, you may have more than 1 column that plays a role in the primary key. So here in the appointment table, we have 2 columns that go together are combined together to make up the primary key. So we close that table, and again, a warning about reducing the size of a field or a column. So it's a good idea to be warned like that, because you might be doing damage, but we trust that we're doing fine. So now, as you can see, that for the 4 tables of interest at the moment, we have clinic as a primary key, patient as a primary key, dentist as a primary key, and appointment as a primary key. So the order we finish these 2 or 3 relationships doesn't matter. We can start with clinic as long as we drag to the right place. So what we're saying here is one clinic may host many appointments, and an appointment is held at one and only one clinic. So in this relationship, clinic is the parent and appointment is the child. So therefore, to build the relationship properly, we drag from the parent side, the clinic table, to the child side, the appointment table. Okay, so that's what's been said here in the grid. Table or query in the left-hand side is clinic, that's good. And on the related table in the other side is appointment. And the correct column in both cases is clinic ID. And we can hopefully enforce integrity. I didn't do any damage to the data in those 2 tables when I was doing my earlier screencasts to describe how the integrity of the data can be damaged or corrupted. So this relationship should create without any difficulty. So I'll just move it over here a slight little bit to line up so I can see the relationship line clearly. Okay, and again, this is the benefit of having the full list of columns exposed. So here I can't see unless I scroll down, I can't see that the clinic ID is the matching column. Whereas if I stretch the little window out a little bit, I can see it long term. So likewise, I go on from the dentist table. So we're saying a dentist may hold many appointments. A dentist may take many appointments. And an appointment is taken by one and only one dentist. So in this relationship, dentist is the parent and appointment is the child. So we go dent ID to dent ID. And we can likewise hopefully enforce integrity. So by enforcing integrity, we're stopping trouble breaking out. We're stopping the deletion of parent rows that have matching child rows. So we create the relationship, and it doesn't like this relationship because it violates rules. Okay, this wasn't the plan. So obviously I need to check the table to make sure that each appointment belongs to a valid dentist. Okay, that's what it's telling me really, that the relationship can't create because there's something unreliable or something invalid in my appointment table that stopped this relationship being set up. So I'll quickly look at my dentist table data, and I have dentists number 1 to 7. Okay, if I look at my appointment table, I have a dent ID 11 here. Okay, so that's the troublesome one. All of the rows here, bar the last one, are fine, but the final appointment involves dentist number 11. So that's why I'm stopped creating that relationship, because there is data in the appointment table that breaks the rule. Here we have an orphan record. This entry here on the 6th of or 106 for patient 106 on September 1998 is under the charge of dentist number 11, but there is no dentist number 11, so therefore there's something wrong, and Access won't allow me build a relationship when some of the data doesn't comply with the relationship I'm trying to build. So the only way I can overcome that is by changing that 11 to any number between 1 and 7 to match one of the dentists. So I'll choose 7 and I'll leave that for the moment. So we'll go back and close the table and go back to my relationships. And now try to build the relationship again between dentist and appointment. So dentist is the parent, appointment is the child, and we drag and drop and enforce integrity, and we learn very quickly if it'll work this time. It does. Okay, so there are the relationships between clinic and appointment, patient and appointment, and dentist and appointment. So we have 3 relationships built, and the same then should apply to all the other relationships. We should have a relationship between a university and dentist, dentist and dentist training, patient and employed by, employer and employed by. So that's the bit that's unfinished at the moment. But the principles that have been, or the approach that's been demonstrated here for the 3 or 4 tables we've solved or we've dealt with is the same approach you'll follow for the remaining tables. So that's the end of the clip.